welcome to Eco Talk, where your voice creates an impact. It's always MJP, and I'm here today for another episode. As you know that I cannot do it alone because there's a saying that goes, "One hand cannot make sound, and no man is an island." So I don't need to do it by myself. Again, I am with 𝗦𝗲𝗵𝗚𝗚𝗚𝗚. Welcome to the show. How are
Hey,
you
it
doing?
is. I'm doing fine and thank you so much. I want to say hello to you. I am really thrilled to see each one of you. United we stand, divided we fall. This is an act of unity. That's what I'm saying here. We are here just to talk in order to make an impact, to use our voice to make an impact. And that's what we're here to do. Thank you.
Definitely. Seth Ora, this is the AK, right? How are you doing?
Hi, Maki-san. Hi, 𝗦𝗲𝗬𝗵𝗚. I like that expression. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for asking. I am very excited to be here, and I'm sure that we are going to all share and learn from one another.
Of course. Why I say that? Let's start with the learning part. I know that you always want to share something with us, maybe a word. I don't know exactly what you have for us.
Actually, I do. Today, I have a new word for you. The word for today is quietude. Quietude is a noun, and it means a state of deep calm, peace, and stillness. A moment when everything becomes quiet and the mind can think clearly. For example, we might say, the quietude of the early morning helped her think clearly. In the quietude of the barn, the boy was able to hear the ticking of the watch. Quietude reminds us that sometimes we don't need to search harder. We simply need to become still enough to listen. I hope it's a new word for you too.
Of course it is. I
It
like
is.
it. So at Eco Talk, whatever we are going to say, we need to reflect on quietude, right? That's important. All right.
It is
So
important.
it is important. Any comment, Ramdiem?
Yeah, as I could say, as the saying is like my grandparents used to say stuff like, we have two ears and one mouth, meaning that we have more opportunity to listen, like we can listen more than we speak. They put forward the importance of listening. We need to listen, the importance of silence as well. Let the silence talk. It is a little bit paradoxical, but
It is. And we
Sometimes,
know that
silence.
I could talk. Yeah. You have a comment, Seth Ora?
I say I like this expression, let silence talk.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes
That's
yeah,
important.
I don't know how I'm gonna, I don't know how we're going to listen to it, hear the voice of silence. But anyway, yeah, let it talk. Let
That's
yes, let's do
interesting.
it.
Like at Eco Talk, this is a tradition. We always have the word of the day and we have a story. The storyteller today is no one else than Ramdiem.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning. I have a very interesting story for you today. The story is about listening to the sound of silence. You might be asking yourself, how can you listen to the sound of silence? Does silence have a kind of sound from it? Of course it does. I'm going to show you this. Once, there was a farmer who lost his watch in the barn. For the farmer, that lost watch had a very sentimental value. So he searched all over to find the watch. Even after searching all around among the hay in the corners of the barn for a long time, he couldn't find the watch. At last, he gave up and asked for help from some children who were playing outside of the barn. He stuff like we were just in case one of them find this lost watch. After the children know that there is a wayward, they hear inside the barn to start searching. They went through all around and all the stacks of hay lying there and couldn't find this lost watch. After trying for a long time, the children couldn't find the watch. They felt tired and couldn't look for the watch anymore, so they left. After the children left, the farmer was thinking of giving up the thought of looking for the watch. A child came to him and asked the farmer to give him another chance to find that lost watch. The farmer looked at him and thought for a while and said to him, "Why not? Sure, you can try if you want." So the farmer permitted like the boy to go inside the barn again. After some time, that boy came out with the watch in his hands. The farmer was happy because he got his precious watch. And the kid, on the other hand, was also happy because he get the reward. The farmer was surprised to see that when all failed, how that boy succeeded in finding that watch. So he asked the boy, how were you able to find a watch? How did you manage to find it? And you know what? The boy replied, I did absolutely nothing, but I just sat on the ground and listened. In the silence, I was able to hear the taking of the watch and searched in the direction of the taking sound. Can you guess how it is important to learn from silence? The moral lesson of this story is that always allow your mind to have a few minutes of silence, because a peaceful mind can think better than a worked up mind. And our soul always knows what to do to hear itself. This is what I have for you today. The time is for you to discuss. I am open for discussion.
That was so interesting. I like the way that you read it. I thought you were the writer, so you just take time to articulate the words. What do you think, Ora?
I think it really works well with my word of the day.
Exactly.
I can say the boy was able to find the watch in the quiet silence, which is great. I love it. Thanks for sharing. And it's a surprise also at the end. I didn't expect the boy to say that he has to stay silent to hear the ticking of the watch. So I really love it. I love the story. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have so many takeaways from that story, but I want to open up with a question. The title is compelling.
Yeah.
Listen to the sound of silence. As Rem said from the very beginning, does silence have a sound? I would like to know.
This is something deep and spiritual. It's like God. You can't understand. Early in the day, I was listening to a song. One of my favorite American singer, her name is Tasha Cobbs, and she was saying that every time that you think that God has reached the final destination, he will always do something to make you go, oh my God. So the title of the song that I was listening to during the day is, Oh My God. Our God is a God of impossible. It's like when you think everything is done, but he has a last action in order to show you it's not over yet. I can compare this with the situation that we're talking about. Of course, the silence has a sound, but you should be connected to be able to listen to this, to hear it. Generally, the ladies, they know everything.
Exactly.
And when it comes to talk about emotional stuff, they know better than us. So now she can speak. Let's go, Simple. Let's go.
Yeah. Before picking back on what you just said, you know what comes to my mind
Go
is
ahead.
when we are used to someone, whether a family member or a friend, when they stay silent, quiet around us, we know that there's something going on. They don't say anything because we are so used to the person. We can feel that the energy is not the same, but we can see that the silence that we are feeling in that relationship, in that moment, we know that the person probably is dealing with something. They don't want to talk about it, but you can feel, even the person is not saying anything, that something's going on. Pay attention, you might not even realize that.
I can relate to that. My mother is a very emotional woman. And whenever I did something wrong in the house and we enter home quietly and I saw my mom silent, I say, oh, I'm cooked. Because once my mom is silent, she is preparing something in background for me.
Definitely. And so, you feel suspected.
Exactly. Yeah. You see how the silence troubles me or make me panic? So silence sometimes speak louder than words.
Exactly. I was gonna say this. Definitely. And if we take this to a sentimental aspect, we can say that sometimes we as men, I always like to take this example.
It's not a gender debate.
It's not a gender debate, to be honest. But we love not to talk. In other words, like we don't love to talk a lot. Our silence generally talk about us. If somebody wants, when I say somebody, I'm talking about, the partner, the other gender. Whenever they need money or anything, they take the wallet and take everything, or they take our credit card. We don't do anything because we know where we will get it back. Understand? So in that case, our silent talks louder. Being silent, stay quiet, or remain silent means a lot. And it is like sometimes more powerful than talking a lot, like saying so many things are meaningless and so on. Would you accept to be silent in a situation where you're right and the situation requires for you to keep silent?
Yes, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Because in some situations, silence is the best answer.
Correct. Yeah.
Because when you don't answer, sometimes you say more than if you have to answer.
How do you say more? How do you say? So you don't answer, that means you don't say anything, right?
Anything.
If you don't
When you
answer, that means you don't say
more,
anything. How you say more if you don't answer?
say more to the situation, to the
Mm-hmm.
person by remaining
Uh-huh.
silent, because sometimes someone might be saying something to you to provoke you
Yeah.
because they want
Definitely.
a
Mm-hmm.
reaction.
Mm-hmm.
They are expecting to use you as a puppet,
Mm-hmm.
to pull a thread, and then they expect you to dance their dance. Then they are shocked and surprised to see that you're not even reacting. Then they don't know what to do next because they didn't prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, let me take an example. If I find myself in a situation that I'm being discriminated in public, and
Mm-hmm.
because women, I'm black, or
Mm-hmm.
someone openly use some negative words to put me down,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to
Similarly.
tell myself, do I need to answer or do I need to remain silent? Why would I answer? Because sometimes when you answer to an ignorant, you give them space
Or you
to
become more ignorant.
become more ignorant and to say more.
Yeah.
Let's say that person who is belittling me, I just look at that person and I don't say anything. For people around watching the scene,
Mm-hmm.
they will understand more than if I have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
They will understand that I am more mindful of who I am. I have more self-control in the situation, and I don't want to escalate that situation because I don't want to entertain any conversation with that person because this is not my place. This is where I'm saying more. I haven't said any word, but I
Mm-hmm.
just look at you. Sometimes I can even smile at you, and then I do what I'm doing and I walk away. And then I let you with your ignorance and with people now looking at your back, maybe saying something or not. But I think it positioned me in a space where I show myself to be more self-control, to not entertain ignorance from someone. So this
Exactly.
is why I think yes, sometimes it's important to remain silent.
But I
I go ahead.
but I think this is not for the weak. When I say this is not for the weak,
Mm-hmm.
this is for those who basically cultivate what we can call wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom and understanding in everything. So it requires a lot of intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, and something like that. It's not for the weak, as I said. What do you think?
Yeah. A side note to what you have just said, DM. Wisdom does not mean that not to speak when you have to speak. As Sephora said, there's a moment for you to be silent or remain silent. There's a moment for you to raise your voice or to speak up. So you cannot remain silent all the time because you are not mute. For example, if you are being discriminated at some point, you need to raise your voice. You say, hey, enough is enough. I do not teach that you need to fight back every single time happening around. No, this is not I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a moment to speak and there's a moment to remain silent. So you need to keep the balance. Once you are able to keep the balance, you are a person who practice what we call wisdom.
People
Yes.
might even think that you're scared of them or you're afraid
Exactly.
of them if you don't say anything. Sometimes it's like an idle threat,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's an idle threat, like
Mm-hmm.
you saying something that you cannot even do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you should do something like to say that, hey, I cannot accept this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is an idle threat,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need to try to say something. As I said, it requires a lot of wisdom to understand that. It's a fool. What do you think? Go ahead. We're listening to you. Stop smiling.
Yes, I can see myself, so I don't know. I like
Yeah,
what you're saying. This is why I'm excited by listening to you. And I will take a
same
step
here.
further. Also, I'm thinking about discernment. It is
Mm-hmm.
another word also in wisdom.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you have the spirit of wisdom, you also
Mm-hmm.
have the spirit of discernment. So you can discern what battle is yours to fight. You don't have to fight all battles.
Mm-hmm.
Some battles, they are just eating your energy up.
Yeah.
What are you gaining
Mm-hmm.
out of it? It's not worth fighting. So you need to have that kind of discernment to know if it's your place to fight that battle or if it's not the moment to fight that battle. As you use God as a reference in the beginning, I was thinking there is a verse that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be
Yes.
still means being silent.
Yeah.
Stay still. Wait on
Yeah.
the Lord.
Be still.
Wait to see what God is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it also reminds me the story of Elijah in 1 King 19, verse 11 to 13. Did you remember that story? This
Yeah.
is the
The,
story the Lord asked Elijah to go and
mm-hmm.
stand out of the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what happened? There was a great and powerful wind
Mm-hmm.
that tore the mountains apart
Mm-hmm.
and shattered the works. And then after the wind, there was an earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Lord was neither in the wind, we neither an earthquake. But after the earthquake came a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper.
Mm-hmm.
Gentle whisper. Now, the verse says when Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mountain of the cave. So how Elijah was able to hear the gentle whisper? Because he was silent.
Exactly.
Imagine that he was making some noise and being panicking and he wouldn't even hear the gentle whisper. And this is when he heard the gentle whisper that Elijah go and stood out. And then the voice said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" So exactly. So it reminds me that we have to remain silent to hear a lot of things in this life, and we will hear much more than if we are to keep talking. And I also believe this is why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We need to listen twice before we
Yeah.
speak. And when you're silent, you're able to listen better. Person talking back to you.
Exactly.
Definitely. Something that I want to add is it's not just listen. You know, sometimes some people they do as if they were listening to you. In reality, when you ask them a question about what you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
they do not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
They do not say anything as a means of answer, like
Mhm.
because they pretend that they were listening to you, but they were not. IELTS teacher, when I am talking to my students, telling them how to listen, they say hojam. Actually, hojam is a Turkish word to say teacher. They say, teacher, I'm not sure you have something to teach me how to listen. I say, really? I'm talking now in academically speaking, there are some tips, especially there are some words, because the person who is speaking is an indicator. This person is using some words that we can call some indicators too. These words are leading you somewhere. For example, if I say, first of all, you know, I'm in the beginning. If I say furthermore, meaning that I'm going to add something. If I say however, I'm going to show contrast. What if I say finally? What does
But
that
you're
mean?
going
You're
to
going to
have
That
continue.
an
means I'm going to finish. Like,
finish.
okay, when you are listening, you need to connect these things together in order to grasp the main idea of the thing and to be able to answer the questions. Listening requires all of that. I don't know if you want to add something.
Sure.
I wanted to go back to the way that the boy explained how he managed to find the watch.
To be a great listener requires a lot. That is why sometimes they ask you, are you a good listener?
Exactly.
Because when you listen, you do not just receive the words, but you need to process them to your brain to make sure that you understand. And sometimes they even ask you to paraphrase or to explain back what you have just heard or listened to. This is a way to say that to listen is not something which is passive. You need to be active to do so.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
It will
and
also
I would
reflect.
like to add something
go
here.
ahead.
This is why there is a difference between hearing and listening.
Mhm.
Sometimes somebody might hear what you say, but they didn't listen what you say.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Can go further than hearing,
All right.
because even in a conversation, you might be speaking and I'm looking at you, but in my mind, I'm preparing what I'm going to say next. I didn't even listen what you say. And when
Mhm.
I'm listening to you, I don't listen only what you say. I listen what you don't say. Your body language,
Definitely.
how you, your posture, that can tell so much about what you than even the words you're saying. And even
Yeah.
in interview, when people go for interviews for a job, they also evaluate a lot. It's not only the words
Mhm.
that they are saying; they evaluate everything that they are not saying. And for that, they need to really pay attention and listen carefully while they remain silent.
Yeah, I like the way that you paraphrase it. And there's a story in the Bible when that apostle, something like that, was sleeping. He say, "Lord, speak, and your servant is listening." That means I'm here attentively listening to you. This is a way to say that I connect, I plug in, so you can speak.
All right.
So we need to go back to the story.
To the story. So what I'm gonna ask is, did you guys ever expect the boy to give this answer when he was asked about how he managed to find this watch? Did any one of you expect that he was going to say, "I did nothing but sat on the ground and blah blah blah"? Did any one of you expect this answer? Go ahead.
No, I
Tell
didn't.
me.
I was actually shocked when I heard the answer because I said, "Oh, how come all the kids they try and nobody could find it? How come he found it? And not only he found it pretty quick." And then I expect he would say, "You went in a place that the other kids didn't think about." You know, something like that, or maybe he wanted to have the reward, and then he found it hiding
You were
somewhere.
tempted.
All the kids go away and then go get it, so he can get the reward himself. It wasn't in my mind at all to listen to the ticking of the watch. It was really a big surprise for me.
Very big surprise. You know, we are living in technological era. I thought that the boy was going to use something like a magnet, to throw it away, and you know they put together and get it. That's what I was thinking.
To be straightforward, I didn't, let's say, anticipate the end like that. But there are many things that really stood out to me from the story. The little boy asked for another chance. We basically ask for another chance by hoping that we can shoot the last shot. It's like we're gonna try for a very long time. And confidently, he asked the grandfather, "Give me a second chance." There's an expression that means hope dies last. It's a way to say that no more hope, no more life. So as long as we live, we need to be hopeful or to expect something to happen. I really appreciate that line from the little boy. I do have so many things to share about what I've learned from the story. I don't know if you have something to add before I keep delving in.
The only thing I would like to add is like I believe that the boy knew that he was going to ask for that other job.
Exactly.
Maybe he was thinking about a technique.
Not
That's
only
why
that,
he didn't ask for a last
technique.
chance.
His technique required silence.
Yep,
And
yep,
as
yep.
long as all the kids were around, there was no way that he would be able to listen to the tick of the watch, to the ticking of the watch. That's why he let all the kids go. And then he decided, I'm going to go alone because this is when I can have the silence that I need so I can listen carefully to the ticking of the watch.
Definitely.
Wouldn't that be a lesson for us to learn today?
Definitely. And something that I want to add real quick is that
Go ahead.
the boy didn't say, "Give me a second chance" or "Give me another chance." Listen to the word. He know that this was going to be the last one. Like after thinking, as you said so far, he thinks, and which techniques he's going to use. He's going to use the technique of silence, sit down somewhere to listen to the ticking of the watch. Now he was sure at 100% that this lost watch is going to be found. As a matter of fact, he just go apply his strategies, and here is the result. That means in life we always need to have a strategy.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact you mentioned that. And that the little boy play, I would say, a psychological game. When you say the last chance, it's like a way to impress the listener. Okay, I will get it. Let me illustrate what I want to say. I broke up with my girlfriend multiple times, and we come back together, and we broke up again. And I say, "Honey, give me a last chance."
I know it's
a way to say that, but finally, Maxon is back for real. So that could be a psychological game. I don't know if you agree with me.
I could go to, I couldn't agree with you more.
Now,
I think
go ahead.
from what you just said, it's also bring another word to my mind. It's
Go ahead.
faith.
Which one?
Because
Faith.
he believes that he will find it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
he didn't even think that maybe the watch stopped working. And if the watch didn't have any battery anymore, wasn't working
Yep.
anymore,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't be able he wouldn't be able to hear any ticking. But he
Mm-hmm.
still believed, because this is why he used the last chance.
Yeah.
So when we say what to a person, give me a last chance, do we really believe that we're going to do our best to make happen what we need to make happen? And we need to have that confidence that it will happen. And he has that deep faith in his capacity to find the watch, and that he will be able to hear the ticking.
Actually, there is another part of the equations. Imagine they were searching together diligently. That could happen. The little boy didn't search and say, look for the watch carefully at some corners. And he said, okay, let me go back and try again. There are different aspects that we can put into consideration when it comes to talking about the little boy found the watch. Something I would like to add, the timing as well. When they asked the little boy what you did to get or find what he said, I did nothing, just sat on the ground. This is not a simple action. I sit down. It can be a moment of reflection to let my mind process the activity or what I am going to do. The timing is that the little boy could be silent when he was searching with the other children. Why? He came back to sit down.
He had a plan to get the
He
reward.
had a plan.
He had a plan to get the reward himself.
Exactly. Imagine you're gonna say, okay, hold on, be silent, guys. Let me try. Why didn't he say that? That little boy was so clever, in my opinion.
If somebody says he is selfish, what would you say, guys?
I think that's selfish.
If somebody says he is selfish because he had the plan to come back, by the time he was together with the other boys, with the other children, he was thinking of this plan, guys. Like,
how did you know?
we just thinking, he was thinking of it as soon as the plane is ready. He pretends to go out. He say to the other children, "Hey, let's go. We cannot find it. Let's go outside." And then he come back alone and ask for a last chance. And finally, so this is the funny part of the story. Actually, what you say was really interesting. Go ahead.
I would like to say that maybe we are also making assumptions. Maybe he didn't have any plan while they were leaving the area. Maybe as he's walking outside and this idea come to his mind.
Yeah.
Now, can we say really that he's selfish? Let's say he says to himself, let me try one last time. And then as he says that, he remembers also there was one reward. Why would he have to share that with all the other kids? For myself, I have two lessons from this story. The first one, sometimes you need to get out of the crowd.
Interesting.
You want to work on something that is very important. Because maybe if he has shared this idea with the other kids, they will be making more noises, and then he wouldn't be able to find the watch. Maybe now they are going to fight over the reward because they all know the techniques that he was going to use. So for us, if we are searching for something, we want to find something, sometimes it's good to get out from the crowd so we can think clearly, so we can take one step back and have the discernment that we need, the wisdom that we need to know how to search, where to search, and where to find what we are looking for. It's not about being selfish. It's about being wise enough to know not everything you need to share with everyone, because maybe one reward will not be possible to be shared with all the other kids. So he has to make a decision, and he makes the right decision. And it's
great.
pays off.
My main takeaway from that is we need to know when is the right moment to be silent, because we cannot be silent all the time. And if the little boy were making noise, he wouldn't be able to listen to the ticking of the watch. This is a moment for us to ask ourselves, when we were so noisy, we might have missed on our great opportunities because we were too loud, and the watch was taking. We could not listen because we were too loud. So this story I really take as mine. I need to pay attention to the taking of the watch. My watch, your watch, and others' watch are taking. We need to in time to be silent in order to listen to it. Because once you're able to listen to it, you will finally get there or to find the opportunity that you have missed. This is what I think about the silence of the little boy. What do you think, Ramsey?
Definitely. So this is interesting because me personally, I am really into everything related to spirituality. Everything that is sobering, everything that is given to thought, everything that gives opportunity to produce, everything, when I say to produce, to reflect, to think. I am part of these things. You know, I love them. For example, when you are trying to understand the sound of silence, when you go deeper, deep and deeper to understand what is happening in this, some people can't even say there is a philosophical stuff here. Some people can say there is stuff related to religion here or a religious thing. But I don't know, anyone is correct. But the main takeaway, I want to use your word, that we can learn from this one is learn to listen. Learn to listen. As Sephora said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. This opportunity is offered to you to listen actually more than you speak. And actually being a good listener is a great quality.
Exactly.
This is not something easy. It's really a great quality.
It is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think, Sifo?
Yes, I want to wrap up by saying that, to the essence, I would like the listeners to take away from this sharing today. The first lesson is the importance of quietude, sometimes to be silent, to be still. And second, as we are being silent, the importance to get out from the crowd, because sometimes the crowd is too noisy.
Yeah.
And there is no way you'll be able to get the quietude that you need if you don't get out from these noisy environments, so you can be still and get what listen to what you want to find. Active listening is very important, but we cannot be active listeners if we are speaking at the same time.
Yeah.
Third lesson is trust that what you want to do, it will happen. And always remember that there is always a second chance, a third or a fourth or a last. Always give it a last try. Don't give up.
Yeah.
For me, it will be those 3 lessons that I took, my big takeaway from the story that you shared today. And I would like to leave those stories with the listeners. Hopefully, it will help them in different areas in their lives.
For sure. Interesting. What about you?
I think the man already gave up, and that's why he tried to find these kids that were playing outside of the bar. He called them to come and help him. As they couldn't find the lost watch, they went away. But now, even the kids, the smaller one, the man could learn something.
Definitely.
Consistency, not giving up. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 words for you tonight. The first one is learn, never stop learning. The second one is pray, never stop praying. The last one is work. Never stop working to put on your table. Thank you so much, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Echo Talkers, being silent does not mean that you don't know what to say, but you are waiting for the right moment to say. And because when you are silent, you can confuse your enemy. Do not be in a rush to speak. Know exactly when to speak, because your tongue or your words can harm you. It's like a gunshot. When it's out, you cannot control it.
Exactly.
It was Mackison.
There was a sentence in Creole that say that your tongue is not an ocean.
Yes.
But you can get drowned.
Exactly. All right. So to end the show today, we're gonna say your voice. Your impact. Your impact. Your impact.